I was walking, feeling sick. I was walking and thinking that it wouldn't be so bad to wake up tomorrow alive and not dead. A wild, crazy party and a bad idea were the cause of my troubles and misfortunes that came and ruined the celebration. It was supposed to be a good drinking party at the place of a real good old boy, Vadim. He invited everyone he could, and me and my buddy showed up, coming all the way from the next village over, or rather, the one after that. The party was in Bagatik, where the man of the hour lived. To get there, we had to pass through a dead village called Iskra. We ourselves lived in the village of Kukarka.
Originally, the plan was simple. Get a ride with someone. And it even looked like we were going to pull it off. But at the last moment, Pashka got stubborn, saying he had things to do in the city tomorrow. So driving us and partying with us was not an option. Asking others was either awkward or we weren't close enough friends. Besides him, we could only ask the old folks, and that was definitely not an option. So we ended up walking there, anticipating a great party, and now we were walking back, disappointed beyond belief. It's no secret that villages are dying out, and even though there are plenty of villages in the area, there weren't that many people our age. So I expected to see a few familiar faces at the party. But the people who showed up were ones I was not happy to see. Senya came and just ruined everything. Senya and his two stooges who follow him around like a tail. He was such a vile, disgusting person that it was easier to just kill him than to try and talk to him about anything. Skinny, red-haired, aggressive, always looking for a fight, trying to act tough with some rotten street code. Just a negative person all around. As it turned out later, he wasn't even invited. He just showed up. We decided to leave to avoid trouble because Senya got drunk and started openly acting tough and throwing his weight around. And when that happens, knives aren't far behind. Yeah. That's right. Senya would grab a knife. We knew it. Everyone knew it, because we'd been through it before. Of course, people tried to calm him down, but he was completely gone, just losing it. So, to avoid getting a shiv in the ribs, my buddy and I decided to leave that wonderful place and head home. But Senya wasn't the only problem. Let's just say my enemies were there. Guys I'd beaten up more than once and would do it again. But the ruined mood and all that crap was the last thing I needed. Sure, there were girls there, even more girls than guys, but the atmosphere spoiled everything. I didn't want to be at that birthday party. So we just gave him the envelope with money, wished him a happy birthday, sat for a little bit, and hit the road.
And that's where everything became clear.
Honestly, I was glad to be leaving the party so early. The booze was some kind of cheap rotgut, and at least we got out without any trouble. True, we had a hell of a walk ahead of us, but that had its upsides too. The weather was so warm and quiet. The moon was in a crystal clear sky, and ahead of us we had a solid 2-hour walk. Hey Gray, got a lighter? Mine's out. I handed my friend the lighter. He lit his cigarette. Thanks, he said, handing it back. You know what I'm thinking? About the party? You already said we shouldn't have gone. Yeah, that. But you know, on the other hand, it's a shame we left. Could have hooked up with some girls. I don't know, man. I feel sick. Not in the mood for girls. I'll be lucky if I make it home without any more adventures. We really should have taken the scooter. We'd be there in a flash.
Yeah, right.
and end up breaking your neck like Maxim? No way, Gray. I'm no Boy Scout, but if I've had a drink, the keys stay on the shelf. My dad always told me that. Life taught him a lesson. He got into a car accident when he was young, broke both his legs, and he said he was only going 30 to 35 miles per hour, max. Skidded off the road into a ditch in the winter. He told me that after just 4 shots of vodka, his legs were gone. Since then, he won't even get behind the wheel after drinking kvass. He says, "We tempted fate once, and that's enough." He was always forbidding me. You've seen my scooter. If it hits 20 miles per hour, that's a good day. It's like they say, better to ride slow than walk well. You can break your neck at 20 miles per hour, believe me. And out here, it's easy to crash. There are fields up ahead, then that damned Iskra. And the forest there. It's full of fallen branches and overgrown bushes.
I'm not talking about breaking my neck. I'm talking about Iskra. I don't like it. Well, we could go around. Going around would take forever. It would have been easier to just stay, I said, thinking. Iskra was an old, ancient village with 4 streets. Probably the first one in this area. It even had a history. It used to be a big village, Iskra was, but everyone moved away, or rather, the last ones left. Now it's kind of in the middle of everything, but it's the emptiest. There's no gas line, so you have to heat with a stove and get water from a well in the winter, and not many people are into that. People just abandoned their houses as they were. No one even tried to sell them or make any money. Everyone understood that nobody would want a house here, not even for a single ruble. But for us, Iskra was known for something else. It's a very bad place. A place where you can't sleep. You have to pass through this place as quickly as possible. These aren't just some fantasies. Sometimes passing through it was a real danger, with fatal outcomes. They say it's full of ghosts, and I agree with that. They say. Sometimes they wander around in the open, back and forth, as if they're restless. I've seen them a couple of times from a distance. There's someone in the houses. Exactly, someone. They look like people, but they seem to be hiding. You can only meet them at night sometimes. Maybe they're really some homeless people, or they've gone feral, or maybe something else entirely. I try to speed through here. One time I saw some old guy, a thick, dense beard, and it seemed like he had no lips. From his nose to his chin, you could just see teeth and gums. Either he was snarling at the light like that, or, well, I just gunned it to get through for sure. To this day, I wonder what the hell I saw there.
And things like people showing up and doing something in the middle of the night weren't new to us. It was clear that some rituals were held here sometimes. But the main problem was man's best friend. The one thing I was really afraid of was them. When people left, they let their dogs off the chain, gave them a kick, and off they ran. But these creatures are smart. They started breeding and went wild. They don't just attack people, they've even killed them. Vicious cannibals. They live on one edge of the village, dug themselves dens, run in packs, and eat whatever they can find. Just try to walk in there on foot. The only salvation is to climb up on something. That's the only way. Some guys from our village went after the dogs once, but they barely got away. They say there are more of them every year.
Gray? Yeah? Maybe we should go through the forest.
I'm thinking the same thing, but it'll take way too long through the forest. And again, we'll be walking along the outermost street. Maybe It'll be fine." Maybe, but it's not just the dogs that scare me. It's the ghosts, too. What about them? They seem to just wander around as long as you don't bother them. No, man. Today, when we were passing through, I swear I heard a cow. A cow? All right, look, we'll just zip along the edge now and it'll be fine. We've done it before, right? And if anything happens, we can just climb a fence. Everything there is rotten. There's a chance it'll collapse, but I guess you're right. I don't think anything will happen to us on the edge. We usually get through just fine. Usually.
Get through just fine. Get through just fine. People disappear here. One guy, Iskra, vanished. They never even found his body. Not a single bone. He just evaporated. And that's not counting what went on here when the village was still alive. Oh yeah, the stories and tales they used to tell. There were tons. Just the stories about the dead noblewoman alone. There were a dozen. That she was this and that and couldn't find peace in death, and supposedly her coffin is somewhere in the basement of one of the houses. Yeah. A noblewoman vampire who sometimes rises. And the fortune-telling. There was so much fortune-telling in this village, you could rename it Fortune-Tellerville. They said every family here knew how to lay out a deck of cards to find something out. And the stories about how a demon drowned someone in a bucket of water, that was old news here. There used to be a pastime here, on Ivan Kupala's day, to perform dark fortune-telling, and it all revolved around a bucket of water, or any other container. They said they would lock themselves in the entryway and do something, and then it was all up to luck. You might get lucky and find out the answer. If not, you'd drown in the bucket. They said if you broke a rule, the one you were appealing to could drown you. A person would be looking at the water, and their head would go lower and lower until they drowned. You couldn't move the bucket or pull the person away. This was told by those who saw someone drown in it. "It's standing there, the damned thing. They should just burn it down." "Would be nice," I answered, looking at the nightmare in the deathly moonlight. The village stands there, and inside it, 0 inhabitants. Even though there's no one here, a dead village isn't really so dead. You can hear sounds from it. Sounds from the afterlife. A metal gate will slam shut. Why does it slam? Not the wind. Old age, decay. Something just rotted through. And then you hear a cow mooing. Why is it mooing? There are no animals in this village, and there can't be. And the dogs, you hear them in the distance? I don't get it, Seryog. You hear it too, right? I'm not crazy. You're not crazy, I confirmed. I'm getting the chills now. I'd rather go through the forest, honestly. Yeah, well, if we go around, we won't be home till morning. And again, I've driven through here just fine. But then again, don't go into the houses. Don't touch anything, and you'll get through. Yeah, Iskra got through all right, he said. And I was already sizing up the horror we were slowly approaching. May the Lord rest his soul. You picked a great time to remember that. It just came to me, somehow. I remembered all sorts of things. Like how Kolyan and I got stuck here at night once. What happened? We were heading back from a party a long time ago. Neither me nor Kolyan had much sense back then. And Kolyan decided to cut through Iskra. You have to go right through the center of the village. So there we are, riding on his Planeta motorcycle, wind in our hair, not a care in the world. We thought all that spooky stuff was nonsense, that we'd just power through. So,
We get right to the center by the well, and magically, we stall. I'm holding the light. Kolyan's taking out the spark plugs, cleaning them. They're flooded. And behind us, I hear shouting from a house. "Olya! Seryozha! Come here!" And footsteps. I jumped on the spot from shock. Kolyan started dropping the spark plugs.
The footsteps are coming towards us, and the voice again, "Get home, now!" I turn around, and the footsteps are right behind me. I shine my light and see some woman standing there, with her eyes closed. She's dressed normally, like she's at home, but her eyes are closed. "Get home," she says. I shine the light on her, and my blood runs cold. Her skin is gray, ashen. Her teeth are sticking out from under her lips, and her fingernails are way too long. And she radiates a coldness like from a cellar. "We're almost done. We'll come in a minute. You have 5 minutes, and then you go home." And when she reached the fence, she just stopped, waiting for us. I turned the light away for a second, and she snarled like an animal and lunged. But as soon as I shined the light back on her, she backed away. Honestly, I've never been so grateful for a light bulb in my life.
I was praying that Kolyan would fix everything in the dark and that the light wouldn't go out. Well, Kolyan put the caps back on the spark plugs, and we took off. That thing almost caught us at the start. I swear, I heard her teeth snap right behind me. A second's delay, and she would have dragged both of us away. Who was she if she knew your names? How should I know? Some woman, or rather, looked like one. But it wasn't human. It was something else. Well, we're going along the edge, so she won't be there. I don't think anything will be there.
Jinx it, you fool! You hear how the ghosts are wailing?
My buddy said, and knocked on his head. Of course I hear it. It's hard not to notice, he said. And we entered the village of Iskra. The village was not asleep, and that was both scary and somehow comforting. Cows, chickens, creaking gates, noises. You couldn't say the village was dead. The only thing that gave away the abnormality of the situation was the darkness in the windows. We walked along the edge of the street, which was perfectly lit by the moon, and you could see the road was empty and there was no one on it. But that meant nothing. If one dog barks, it'll call the whole pack, and we won't be able to escape. There were a ton of problems here that we probably couldn't solve. But on the other hand, it was a well-trodden path. The strange things that happened here weren't frequent, although the atmosphere around us suggested otherwise. Hey, Seryog, what? Remember the story about the blind woman? Shut up, I said. You've got a real devil in you wanting to talk about that right here. Yeah, I do. I don't know why. My brain scrambled from fear. Be quiet. We'll talk when we're out of here, I replied, realizing that I was already thinking about it myself. The blind Tatyaya, the blind witch, the blind one. They call her all sorts of things. This phenomenon is no joke. It's a real story. But who, what, why, and how it came to be remains a mystery. But the legend goes like this. A long, long time ago, right here in Iskra, there lived a woman of such beauty that all she had to do was beckon you with her finger, and you were ready to do anything for her. Some said she was a witch, some said she was just a flirt, and some said nothing and just hated her. Of course, she had a lot of enemies. Many were jealous that she could wrap men around her finger so easily, and many wanted to slash her beautiful face. And about how one day something went wrong. So, the legend says that one day, she herself got tired of playing the great manipulator and decided to settle down, have a normal, boring life, and all that. There was this one guy she had her eye on who wasn't particularly susceptible to her charms and was generally indifferent to her. He didn't chase her or try to woo her. And she liked him. Well, one thing led to another, and they started living together. And everything seemed fine in this story, except for one thing. It was on Easter. It was the first major holiday since they started living together. And that's when the strange things began. She's not on the street. She's not going to church with him, nothing. She won't even celebrate the holiday with her man. He got furious at such a cold attitude and the fact that this snake wasn't going to celebrate the holy day. And various thoughts crept into his head, and it was as if he began to see clearly. At her house, not a single icon, no holy water. She didn't wear a cross because she wasn't baptized, and he had heard the talk before, the talk that she was a witch. He used to think it was just jealous women spreading rumors about her beauty, but now, whether you wanted to or not, you'd start to wonder. The man went to his parents' house, explained the situation to his family, took a jar of holy water, poured it into a cup and said, "If you won't go to church, if you won't celebrate the holiday, then drink this holy water. I have to make sure you're not a witch." At first, she tried to laugh it off, saying he was crazy to think he was living with a witch. "I'll gouge your eyes out if you don't drink this cup of water, and I'll hang you on the gates. Either you drink, or that is what will happen." Well, she took the cup, splashed the water in his face, grabbed a knife, and tried to kill him. But it was no use. The man did as he promised. He gouged out her eyes with his fingers and hung her on the entrance gates, where she hung for several hours in the freezing cold. And he himself went insane. They took her down, buried her behind the cemetery. It was clear she was a witch. But the man completely lost his mind. He would walk around saying she was haunting him. Others also said they saw it themselves. Sometimes he'd be walking and then suddenly he'd freeze as if turned to stone. He'd say the witch was walking around, carrying her gouged out unseeing eyes in her hands, sniffing around, searching. And if you so much as move, so much as make a sound, she'll grab you and drag you to the grave with her. They say it's best not to walk around here at night, especially during major holidays. "We made it through! We're alive!" My buddy laughed joyfully, but my heart was sinking. We walked peacefully for about 5 minutes, but the tension just kept building. Although my simpleton friend seemed happy and was even skipping along. And then she lunged towards me and froze about 20 feet away. Her 2 gouged out eyes lay in her palms. Blood was flowing from her empty sockets. And she was waving her hands from side to side, constantly sniffing the air. "Give me a sign, any sign. I can't see. Have pity on me. Death is closer than you think." And she had a very pleasant voice. Apparently, in life, she really was beautiful, although now, apart from her bulging eyes, I couldn't see much else. A dog started howling in the bushes to the right, and then another, and another. And I thought this was the end, but it turned out to be a stroke of luck. "There you are," she said happily, and in an instant, she crossed the large distance and was in the same bushes where the dog was howling. There was a thud, a crack, a pathetic whimper, and a second dog's howl turned into a scream of terror and pain. And in the village, the dogs howled even louder.